hands. And let me start by sharing my screen with you. And I'm going to talk about ideas behind playing one no trump and some useful guidelines for playing one no trump. I suppose in some ways it's no different than playing any other no trump contract, but people often say it's the hardest contract, and there are some reasons for that. I mean, very often in no trump you may not have a very powerful source of tricks anywhere, and you kind of have to struggle to make your tricks, and you know the opponents may well get in and start taking their tricks. And especially when that happens, I would say the first guideline I'd mention is try not to panic. Instead, focus on your best option, look at the suits one at a time, look at your best option or options, and just use the normal techniques that you come across in any hand, especially no trump, of establishing suits. Very important to try to lead towards honors rather than playing honors, if the suit is not a solid suit. Doing things like finessing and trying to maintain your entries. Very often in no trump, one hand will have very few entries, and you may need to do some special to guard to try to keep an entry into any hand where you want to take tricks. And another thing you can sometimes do is take advantage of the opponent's leads, either their opening lead or perhaps later on they end up on lead and will lead something which you hope will help you. And the main thing, I suppose, is just not to cache your top tricks. Beginners start off by just caching their top tricks, and even if you can make your contract that way, you won't make as many tricks as someone else who's adopted some of the techniques. So I wanted to start by looking at actually a hand. This is just a slightly modified version of a hand that was actually played online some time ago. And it was, we're going to look at it played in two different ways. The first time it was played by someone who wasn't very experienced, and it ended up in one no trump. South opened one no trump. North has almost enough to go on, but with 10 points, they just bid pass, and one no trump was the final contract. And let's have a look at this hand played a couple of different ways. This is the first time it was played. And what I suggest you do always in no trump contracts is start by counting your top tricks. So we have one spade, one heart, one diamond, and although we start with just one club, I'm going to count that as two clubs because they've led a club, and now we're guaranteed we have got the top two club tricks. Either East will play the king and we'll beat it with the ace, or if they don't, we can win the trick with the queen. So we start off with 5 top club tricks, and I want to just look at how you should not play the hand first. This is what this declarer did. The king was beaten by the ace, and you might think about what you do next, but this declarer actually played the queen of clubs, which is an incredibly poor play, yet it's something I see beginners and less experienced players do sometimes. They sort of, I don't know, they have an idea to return the suit that was just played, and if it's in no trump, one of you is wrong. Either the opponent shouldn't be leading that suit, or you shouldn't be returning it. And here you're obviously really weak in clubs, and it's a bit crazy to lead the queen. But that's what happened. They won that trick. They then led a spade, and they didn't try any kind of finesse. They cashed the ace. They then cashed the ace of diamonds. And I hope you can see that what they're actually doing is just cashing their 5 top tricks. They then played the heart, and they took their ace of hearts. And although they've made 5 tricks, it's now a bit of a disaster. If I bring up the 4 hands, what happened next was they led a spade. West got in with the king. West switched back to clubs, which declarer had is now wide open in. East played a heart back here, the queen lost to the king, the jack was played, the king of diamonds won the trick, and they took the last two clubs and the nine of hearts. So this was a real disaster from the point of view of declarer. They only made 5 top tricks, they cashed them, and then the opponents made the rest. So I hope this wasn't any of you listening today, or if it was you who played this way, I hope you've learned a bit better since then. How should this hand be played? Well, let's have a look at it played a different way. This was another declarer who played it, and a club was played, and they beat the king with the ace. And of course, you don't want to play another club here. What suit do you think declarer might go for here? Anyone like to unmute themselves and tell me what suit you think you might lead?
A spade.
Diamonds.
Spade.
Yeah, I think there's 2 options, aren't there? I mean, spades and diamonds, and both of those suits are best played while you've got the lead in the south hand. So I think diamonds might be the best option here. This is what this declarer actually played: the jack of diamonds, let it go around, and it lost to the queen. So this was like a double finesse against the king and the queen. East won, switched back to a club, and here declarer played the queen and threw away a heart, and now played another diamond. This time the king popped up, and declarer won the ace. And if you're counting now, that's 8 diamonds gone, so that's all the diamonds catered for, and now declarer can take the 3 diamonds. Actually, declarer has sort of slightly blocked the diamond suit here, the way they played it, but they should still be okay. So what they played now was the 10 and the 9 of diamonds. And what would you play next? You want to
Jack of spades.
Yeah, you want to try and make tricks in spades here, and you've actually made your contract in the sense that you've got 5 diamonds, you've got 5 tricks you've made, and you're going to make 2 aces and another diamond. But it's probably worth trying to make extra by finessing in spades. The danger in finessing in spades is that the finesse will fail, but and if it does fail, the opponents will get in and probably be able to cash clubs. On the other hand, you're only in 1 no trump, and the opponents won't be able to take that many club tricks. So it's probably worth trying to make the over tricks by finessing in spades, and that's what this declarer did. They led the jack of spades and they let it run around, and that finesse succeeded. So they played another spade. This time the king popped up. Declarer took that with the ace, and now declarer cashed the 8 of diamonds, and the spades are good as well. So they played the 8 queen and the 10 of spades. So we're up to 10 tricks so far. Then they played a heart, and obviously on this layout, East here has discards, so there's not going to be any finesse on. You probably wouldn't risk the finesse anyway, because you're on track to make 11 tricks here, which is probably going to be a good score. So just take the ace and give up that last trick. So just played by adopting normal techniques in no trump, it made 11 tricks instead of the 5 top tricks that another person managed. Anyone have any comments or questions about that? It made quite so many because the spade finesse worked, the diamonds behaved normally. You only lost 1 diamond there, so it was a pretty good way to play that. All right.
Can I just say, we don't think we're stuck in the clubs for the sake of time.
That's a good question, isn't
Games and anything.
it? When they lead a club, actually, you should think a little bit about what that lead of the 4 of clubs shows. It's presumably, I'll just switch back to just looking at your hand and declarer's hand, you and dummy. And that lead of the 4 of clubs, it seems like it's their 4th highest from their longest suit. And if you look carefully, you can see the only club lower than the 4 is the 2. So what that tells me is that West probably has a 4-card club suit or a 5-card club suit. It's almost certainly to be one of those, given that they've led that suit. So if you work out the clubs, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you take that away from 13, that means the opponents have got 9 clubs, and that means that the lead of the 4 then probably means that they are divided 4-5. One opponent's got 4 and one opponent's got 5. So I don't think it's going to help to duck. Okay, do you see what I mean? Because you duck to try to get rid of to make sure one opponent who's might get in later is has no more clubs. But with this particular layout, it probably isn't going to help to duck. So in other words, whoever gets in, if they do get in, will be able to cash clubs, and you probably can't do anything to prevent that. But it's a good thought, and it can be, even though you've got 2 stoppers, it can be right to duck if you think you might lose the lead twice, which could have happened here. So it could have helped, but I don't think it makes any difference here. If the opponents play correctly, you're always going to make 2 club tricks, and they could potentially make 3 club tricks.
Thanks.
Thank you for that question. So that was, if you like, an example of how not to play and how to play. Let's have a look at another example. And here again, you open 1 no trump, and it's passed out. And the opponents here lead the 6 of spades. So before we go any further, let's stop to count our top tricks. And I've got the only poll of the afternoon here, which is how many top tricks does declarer have here? So count each suit 1 at a time, and then tell me how many top tricks does declarer have? Okay, let's end the poll there, and I'm going to share the results with you. And one of these days, oh, sorry, I just need to log in again. One of these days, I'm going to launch a poll, and everyone's going to get the answer right, 100%, but that's not today. Most of you have said 2, 55%, and then there's other votes for 3, 4, 5, or 6. Well, the correct answer is 2. You have 2 top tricks on this hand, the ace and king of hearts. And that's what we mean by a top trick, is a trick you can take right away without losing the lead. And I think it's quite useful on any hand to count your top tricks, because then you know where you need to go to make your extra tricks here. But if you think you've got 6 top tricks here, then you're sadly disappointed, because you don't. You just have 2 top tricks. Now that's often the case in no trump, that you don't have that many top tricks, and you need to try to set up tricks in other suits, and often in a couple of other suits to make at least 7. So That's the case here. And where when we gain the lead, which suit, I don't have a poll on this, which suit do you think you might go after to try to make more tricks?
Clubs.
Clubs, I think. Yeah, clubs is probably the best chance. I mean, if we're lucky, we'll make 3 club tricks. We'll force out the ace and we'll make 3 club tricks there. Hearts, we've got 2 tricks. We may not make more than that. Diamonds, again, is uncertain. If we come to play the diamonds, we'll want to lead from dummy towards our hand. And spades is another one where we obviously hope to make at least 1 trick, but that lead is a bit of a clue. West has presumably led their best suit, and the 6 is presumably their 4th highest. So it's quite likely that West has got the ace of spades. Not guaranteed, but quite possible that West, if they have the ace of spades, has led their 4th highest from the ace. And if that is the case, can you see that we can make 2 spade tricks? So what we're going to do here is, I think, play the king or queen. And if he doesn't have the ace, then we've not only made 1 trick, but later on we're probably going to make another trick with the king because the ace is on our left. So that's good. So we've made 1 trick there. Now we're going to go after clubs. I think that's the best chance, and we're going to try to win in the shorthand. So let's lead a low club playing the king. They don't take their ace, so let's lead another club back. They play their 6, and we're going to play the queen, jack, or 9. Now, I actually put this suit combination into suit play, the program, and it actually said that with this particular combination, it's actually best to play the 9 here, not the queen or the jack. There's not much in it, but by a small margin, it's actually best to play the 9 here. So if you follow that, you play the 9, the ace wins, and now you've set up 2 club tricks. So let's see what happens next. East now plays a spade. That was West's lead, if you remember. West takes the ace, and maybe they play another spade. And everyone has followed here. So this is another time to try to take stock of the spade suit. You now know there's just 1 spade out. Presumably West has it, and they can cash 1 trick there if they gain the lead, but no more than 1. So it's not a real threat to you. Now what? Let's suppose you've won that one. So now you want to play your 2 clubs that you've established, and you've got to discard something here. Let's suppose you discard a diamond, and then you discard a heart. And now we're in good shape. We've got 5 tricks we've made, and we've got the ace and king of hearts to come. Now, we always are trying to make an extra trick if we can, and maybe we can in diamonds. The only danger in diamonds is that if we try to win a trick with the king or the jack, they'll get in. But if you think about what's going to happen, if we lead a low diamond and suppose we play the king or the jack, even if that loses to West, having the ace or the queen, we're still going to be okay. We won't get defeated because West has only got 1 spade left, we presume. And if they win a diamond and return a diamond, then we'll probably be okay. We'll probably make 1 more trick, or even if they return a heart, at least we won't be defeated. So it's probably worth trying the diamond finesse. So I'm going to lead a diamond from the north hand. At this moment, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to play from my hand, but if I bring up the 4 hands, it may well be on this actual layout. What happened was that East actually went up with the ace here, and now you're going to make a trick with your king. So you're making a trick there, They then switch to a heart. This time, I think I'll just take my ace and take my king, and I can make the king of diamonds for 1 over trick. So on this particular one, after this, the opponents will get in and will take the last 2 tricks. But I'll make one more trick there. I'll make my 1 no trump, basically by setting up tricks in clubs, and in spades I made 2 tricks as well. And the opponents kind of helped me when I led a diamond by East playing the ace there. If they played low, or the 10, then I would have had a guess what to play there. I might have played the jack then, that loses to the queen, and then they'll take the ace. So I may not have made the over trick, depending on how they played. Anyone have any comments or questions on that?
I have a question.
Sure.
When you lead back your partner's suit, in this case, the spades,
Yes.
should you take into consideration what is in the dummy, or should you lead it anyway?
Yes. Well, that's a very good question. So this is what happened in spades. They led a spade, and the queen won the trick. Later on, East got in with the club, and East has got to decide what to play back here.
Yeah.
And you can see that the king of spades is going to make a trick here, and you probably can't do anything about that. On the other hand, although the king makes a trick, it sets up 2 tricks for your partner. So leading the king of spades, leading a spade here is a reasonable idea. I mean, the other thing you might do is see, is there any other suit I'm going to lead? Well, I'm not going to lead a diamond or a club. You might decide to switch to a heart, which is leading into dummies weakness. Yeah, I think having been on the ace of clubs, I think I'm either going to lead a spade or a heart. I really don't know whether the heart will be any good.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. It's just, an awkward decision, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if there was no chance of if instead, for example, there was something like the king and the jack in dummy, then that becomes a very unattractive lead for me to lead that. But with just one honor, it could well be, even though I'm giving away a trick, I know.
Yeah.
My partner might.
Yeah, but they're going to make that anyway. Yeah. Thank you.
And my partner might have had another spade. My partner might have had a 5-card suit. I think that's possible. And so it could have worked out well. So probably in the interest of keeping your partner happy, I would returning your partner's suit, unless you can see, that you have something better to do yourself.
Thank you, Tony, but that's not the principle I'd adhere to.
Who's your partner? All right.
Today it's going to be Jay, actually.
that was a rhetorical question. Right. Let's have a look at another no trump one. And again, you open 1 no trump. Your partner passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a pretty good hand. And the opponents lead the jack of diamonds, which is presumably top of a sequence. It looks like it might be. Now, again, if we count our top tricks on this hand, we don't have very many. We've just got the ace and king of clubs. We're going to make at least 1 diamond. Hearts are a bit weak, and spades looks like a good option for extra tricks, doesn't it? Again, we've got a finessing position we can try in spades, and we hope to end up with at least 3 or 4 spades. Now, first decision on the lead of a diamond is what to play from dummy. And generally speaking, with equal honors in both hands here, the queen and the king, it's generally right to play low. I mean, a couple of things could happen. East might play the ace if they have it. That gives you 2 tricks. Or even if you have to win this one with the king, you still might make one later on with the with a queen. So let's play low on this hand. East plays the 7, and we're going to take this as our first trick. Now, the suit we really want to go after here is spades, and the best way to play the spades is to get to dummy so that we can lead a spade and finesse in spades. So we're going to use the king of clubs to do that, get over there with the king, and we're going to lead a high spade from dummy, the queen or the 10, so that if the finesse succeeds, we can continue. So here we cross our fingers, the queen held that trick, so we play another spade over to the 9. Okay, that's 8 gone, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to take these last 2 spades with the jack and with the ace, and we throw away a club on that. So that's not too bad. We've made 6 tricks now. And I suppose you might think about where we might be able to make more tricks. We're going to make our contract here with the ace of clubs. Apart from that, it's not really quite clear whether we can make any other tricks. If I bring up the hands and click on the GIB button, basically the computer is saying whatever I play now, I can just make my contract. So you might decide just to cash your ace, because there's a possibility that a club will become promoted, and then maybe play another club, but the opponents will get in there. And you've promoted the 10 of clubs here. The only problem is you're very unlikely to ever get in, because the opponents now will probably switch back to diamonds. If you duck again, they will carry on with another diamond, taking the ace. They can now cash the king and the ace of hearts, and they'll make a diamond at the end. So there wasn't really much you could do about that, but you gave yourself the best chance of making it basically by making 4 spades by finessing in spades. On a different layout, you might have made a heart trick possibly, but the opponents didn't really give you that chance. Any comments or questions on that? And let's have a look at one last one then. This is another 1 no trump hand passed out. This time South has got a 5-card club suit, and it's quite normal though to open 1 no trump rather than 1 club on this hand if your hand qualifies. So I'll open 1 no trump on this hand, passed out again, and this time the opponents lead a heart. And if we start to count our tricks, we can see we've got 1 spade, 1 diamond, this is top tricks, and at least 3 clubs. We have 3 guaranteed club tricks. So we start off on this hand with 5 definite top tricks: the ace of spades, the ace of diamonds, and 3 clubs. Where do you think we can make some extra tricks from? Anyone like to suggest somewhere? There's not a poll.
Spade.
Maybe spade is possible, yeah. I mean,
Clubs.
Yeah,
Clubs.
clubs, yeah.
Clubs.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go after clubs in preference to spades, because the spades are a little bit uncertain about the best way to play this. We're missing the king and the jack, and it could be, you know, better to, depending on where those 2 honors are, it could be better to play it in different ways. Or perhaps the opponents will lead a spade, and maybe that will help me. Clubs have perhaps a better chance, because we've got 7 clubs between us and dummy, and if the missing clubs divided evenly, 3-3, then all our clubs would be good without us losing the lead. So when we gain the lead, I think I'm going to think about the clubs. And it's important to plan that now, because what's actually going to happen on this hand is that the opponents are likely to take a number of heart tricks. We're wide open in hearts, really, unless somehow that jack and 10 provide a stopper. We're in danger of losing a lot of tricks. And this is where I think some people become very downhearted. And because the opponents here start off with a heart, they take their ace, they lead back a heart, and then they play another heart. And you can see here, East discards, and you can see that you're going to be in a bit of trouble because the opponents are going to run hearts. West is going to run hearts. In fact, if I bring up the 4 hands, we'll see that what has happened was that on that third heart, East discarded a diamond. And you can also see that the missing clubs do not divide evenly. They divide 2-4. So the clubs don't run. But nonetheless, as West plays out his last 2 hearts, East is going to come under pressure about what to discard. He kind of wants to keep his spades, and he might be keeping his diamonds, and he may well end up discarding at least 1 club. So that improves your chances of making all those club tricks that the opponents may discard something that helps you. So East has already discarded a diamond there. If another heart is played, well, you have to think what to discard. I think a spade is a safe thing to discard. And East may well decide to play a club here. And of course, as declarer, you have to be watching out for this. You're eagerly looking at the club suit here to see if they discard something so that the club suit will run. So you don't discard a club, you must keep your clubs. And let's suppose they play their last heart, thank goodness, and you've got to decide what to discard from your hand here. And obviously you must keep your clubs. You might want to keep your 2 spades because there's a chance if they lead a spade, maybe you'll make 2 tricks there. So maybe you should discard a diamond here. Anyway, that's all the hearts gone, thankfully. They lead a spade, and if West had the king, it would have worked out well to play low here, but here East takes the king, so you don't get a trick with your queen. But whatever they play back now, you gain the lead, and then, of course, you play the clubs. Of course, you need to win in the shorthand here with the king, play a club back, and now that everyone has followed, you now know the rest of your clubs are good, and you're able to cash those clubs and make the ace of spades at the end. So again, you'll just make your contract, your 7 tricks there. And here the key was to realize that clubs were a very good prospect to make 5 tricks there. And you need to keep those and don't discard them when the opponents start running their hearts. And don't sort of panic that they're taking all these hearts, because in the end you can still make your 1 no trump. Anyone have any comments or questions on that one? There was no real clue in the bidding here that you had a long club suit, so East didn't really know that they should be keeping their 4 clubs. If there had been a bid that suggested South had 4 or more clubs, then it would have been right for East to keep 4 clubs. Although East probably also wanted to keep 4 diamonds because they can see 4 diamonds in dummy. So East was really uncertain about what to play and played the wrong thing. If there are no more questions about that, we'll stop the talk there, and I'll just